Hey, what is up everybody? This is xxDAMRONxx. We're playing the Lego Harry Potter collection. We're getting all the collectibles. This is a compilation of the original games that came out, which were year 1 through 4 and then 5 through 7. This collection includes all of them in one game. So we're getting all the collectibles and we're on to year 4. So let's get right into it. Keep in mind we are playing on free play mode and you always want to bring a character that has dark magic. At the very beginning of the first level in year 4, immediately to your right, you should see this building that has a silver lock. You can cast your Reducto on that to free the student in peril. From there, we're going to head to the right a little bit just from where that student in peril was, and again, bring a character that has dark magic pretty much on all the levels that we're going to play. But if we go to the right just a little bit further, you should see, this black orb here you can cast dark magic on to get our next character. From that dark orb, we're just going to head north a little bit. There's the Rabbit book to our left there, so that's a good point of reference. But you should see a tent that had doors you can cast dark magic on. Cast dark magic on that to get our Slytherin crest piece. Now we're going to head back to the beginning of the level just for reference. There's 8 barrels that you need to use your Wingardium Leviosa on in order to put out fires. One is immediately to your right next to where we saved our student in peril. And then if we head north, you'll find another one on the north kind of left side over there. You can see it right there. And then on the top, as in the north, we're going to head to the right so you get to this tent that has 3 brooms on the left and right side of it. On the left and right is our 3rd and 4th fire that we need to put out. Keep heading to the right hand side all the way to kind of the top right. Now you're going to find your 5th one right next to these spider webs, and just south of that just a little bit is our 6th fire that we need to put out. And then if we head left just a little bit from there, you can find our 7th fire that we need to put out. Now I'm advancing a little bit. You're going to have to, from the 7th fire, you're going to have to do some things in order to get the invisibility potion, which is over here, right? You're going to have to collect some ingredients. You'll become invisible, and you'll do that in order to get past the Rabbit book that's right here. Once you can get past that Rabbit book and you move this cart out of the way, then you can get to the 8th and final fire, which is in this final location right here. So putting out all of those flames will then award you with the Gryffindor house crest piece. Moving on to the second area of the map, so once you kind of hop over this fire just in the beginning, immediately head south and you'll see some debris that you can shoot. Shoot all of that and that will give you your next character. Alright, so also in this area are 5 wizards that we need to rescue in order to get the Hufflepuff crest piece, and I've kind of cleaned out this area of the level so that we can just show you all the locations. But right where we got our last character, if you head north, you'll see your first wizard kind of hidden by some, trapped behind some fire. If you use Wingardium Leviosa on the barrel, you'll be able to rescue him. And then if we head right and then back south just a little bit, gonna go down here, you'll see another wizard trapped under this kind of, material that you can blow up. And once you kind of shoot all that, then you can save the second wizard. And then you're going to have to pass a cart here. There's going to be a cart here that you're going to have to move out of the way in order to get into this section. But as soon as you get into here, head south immediately. You'll find another wizard trapped in the debris. So shoot all of that in order to rescue him. And then head north from there. You'll find your 4th wizard, again, trapped behind some fire. So you can use Wingardium Leviosa on this barrel in order to rescue that guy. And then we're going to head right. And right next to this kind of barrel of water, you'll find this spigot. And if you attach it to that, you'll be able to fill water up into the barrel and use it in order to put out this fire. And then if you jump across there, you're going to find your 5th and final wizard all the way at the end, again, trapped behind some fire. So use the barrel on that and you'll get your Hufflepuff crest piece. Right beside that last wizard that we found, you can see it right in front of you, is this chest with a silver lock on it. So anytime you see silver stuff, as always, use your Reducto spell to blow that lock up, and then again shoot the chest with any spell to get our next character. So from here, we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to get our Ravenclaw crest piece. This is pretty much, again, in that area after we move the cart. And if you kind of just take the path where I'm going, you're going to find some silver debris that you can shoot with Reducto. When you shoot all of that, you'll then see a dig spot. So you need to use a character that has the ability to dig. You can use Crookshanks from Hermione, or you can have Fang do it if he's out there. And you're going to dig up a portrait. And now you need to use a character from the Ravenclaw, house to interact with that. And as long as you use a Ravenclaw character, then the character in the portrait will toss out the piece for you, and that'll be our last collectible for the first mission. So moving on to the second mission in year 4, which is dragons. Again, as always, make sure you're bringing a character in that has dark magic. I used, pretty much Tom Riddle for all of them. The first thing is the Gryffindor crest piece. I'm going to break this up into several parts because it's throughout the level, but there's 9 different lamps that we need to shoot. The first 2 are on the left and right side of the first red dragon, and then after you kind of cross over this path, you'll have to, run by some fire. You'll see the third lamp that you need to hit right here in front of the mushroom that you need to use to jump up to the next area. So we'll get to more of those lamps in just a minute. So we're moving on to the Hufflepuff crest piece, and this is after you put the green dragon to sleep. Now you can use this xylophone and just hit the yellow portion of this over and over, and eventually the Hufflepuff crest piece will spawn right above you. All right, so for our second part of the Gryffindor crest piece, again, this is after we pass the green dragon. You can see it right here on the path, right there after the green dragon cage. That's the 4th one. And then if you move across the gap here, again, when you normally come across here, there'll be some blue flames that you need to dodge. But once you jump over that gap, you'll see the 5th lamp and the 6th lamp right here on the right. In this same area, we need to use a character that has dark magic. You can use dark magic on this cabinet in order to get our next character. All right, so moving on, once you've kind of used the water to create the path right here to the left, now we're gonna get our next lamp. And as you see, as you're heading right up to this blue dragon, just on the left-hand side is our 7th lamp. Now for the Ravenclaw crest piece, you'll see a skeleton up in the air to the right side of the blue dragon cage. You need to use your dark magic in order to bring the skeleton down. And then you can use Wingardium Leviosa to build it on this plank over here, which will then raise and he will fish out the Ravenclaw crest piece for you. All right, so moving on to the final portion of our Gryffindor crest pieces. Once you head to the Lego bridge, there'll be one on the left-hand side, and then when you use the Lego pieces in order to jump across the gap and head down to the other side, the final lamp will be right here, right in front of you, and when you finally hit all of those, now you can get your Gryffindor crest piece. Just to the left of that last lamp, you'll see a vault, so be sure you get a character that has a key ability like Grip Hook and open up that vault to get our next character. Moving on to the Slytherin crest piece, right after that vault, you're going to see some, locks up on this crate up here that you can shoot with Reducto. Once you shoot those with the Reducto, then you can cast Wingardium Leviosa, and some pieces will fall out of that crate. Now you can use Wingardium Leviosa on that, and you'll actually build a flying dragon, that will melt this wall right here, and then you can grab the Slytherin crest piece. All right, moving on to the next area. Basically, immediately when you start, just to your left, you'll see a chest with a lock on it that you can cast Reducto on. Blow that lock up to get our next character piece. In this same area that we're in right here, we're gonna get our final collectible in the level, our Student in Peril. Once you've used all 3 chains and the guy kind of walks up the path, before you go up that path, you'll see a locked vault on the right. Be sure you use a character like Grip Hook that has a safe key, unlock that, and you'll get your Student in Peril for the level and the last collectible of our second mission. So moving on to the 3rd mission in year 4, which is the Fire Task. This is a pretty fun level, but we're gonna play in free play always, right? And remember to bring a character that has dark magic so we can get our dark magic collectibles. So as soon as you start this level, right in the beginning, you'll see a fire on the, right in front of you, just up right here to the left. You'll also see a barrel. Go ahead and use that barrel to put out that fire, and you're gonna get your first collectible, which is a character right here where I got this blue Lego piece. So I'd already previously collected that, but it'll be right there. Now for the Hufflepuff crest piece, when you kind of come down to this first area, you'll notice 4 kind of blocks that the dragon can destroy with his tail. Once he destroys those, then you can use dark magic on what is left over. And there's 3 of them, so as long as you destroy all 3 and then use dark magic on what is left over, you'll get the Hufflepuff crest piece. Also, throughout the level, there's going to be some rocks that are thrown onto the level. The first one is right here in the first portion, and you need to use dark magic on those, and there's 3 of them. So we'll get the other 2 later. Immediately after this, once you use the dog to blow up the wall, once you get past that wall, right to the left is a dark orb that we can use dark magic on in order to get our next character. So now moving on to the second part of our Slytherin crest piece, right? So this is what I'm talking about. As you're moving through the level, you'll see this rock that gets thrown out there, right? So the first one we interacted with in the first area, the second one is right here, and then the third one after you use the barrel of water to get past the fire. So the third one's going to be right here where it gets thrown onto the path. Once you interact with all of those three with dark magic, you'll get the Slytherin crest piece. Alright, so next up is the Gryffindor crest piece, and this is basically unmissable. You'll get to this portion where you have to build this kind of stairway to get up into the next part of the level, and right where that blue Lego piece spawns at the top of the green piece is the Gryffindor crest piece, and you basically can't miss this. As long as you build them in the correct order, you'll likely get that in your, normal story playthrough. So then in the next section, you're going to be chased by the dragon, and I'm going to keep this kind of intact a little bit so I can show you exactly where things are, because if you miss something, you're going to have to replay the whole level to get here. But once you come through the very first doorway, right there to your right is a character. And again, I'll keep this intact because, again, if you miss these ones, you're going to have to replay the whole level because you can't backtrack in this section. So I'm speeding it up a little bit because the next two are two doorways after the one we just got. So you see we just went through one doorway there, and then as we progress on, we're going to come through a second doorway. Immediately when you go through the second doorway on the left, right here where this blue Lego piece is in this corner, right there is the Ravenclaw crest piece. And then to the right, you'll see a cabinet that you can use Reducto on. Use Reducto on that to save the student in peril. So be sure that you get those on your playthrough, or you're going to have to replay the whole thing. So moving on to the fourth level in year 4, which is the Secret of the Egg. Again, as always, we're playing on free play. Bring a character that has dark magic so we can get our dark magic collectibles. Immediately when you start, this is literally right where you spawn. Just to your left is going to be a cabinet that you can use dark magic on. So use dark magic on that to get our first character. Across from that dark magic cabinet on the other side is another dark magic cabinet. Use dark magic on that to free our student in peril. In this bathroom, to get the Hufflepuff crest piece, there are 3 torches that we need to interact with. 2 of them are on the right side of the bathroom. You can see right there beside where the dark magic cabinet was. And then on the other side, you can see the second torch. And then if you go to the left-hand side of the bathroom, you'll find your third and final torch in order to get the Hufflepuff crest piece. Alright, from that last torch, we're going to get our next character. You'll see a Bogart chest right in kind of the middle of the bathroom. Use Ridiculous, spell on that. And essentially, once you do that, you will be able to get a next character. And I'd already previously collected this character, but it's going to be right here. After you use Ridiculous on the Bogart chest, you'll have right there where that blue Lego piece is. Alright, so from that chest to get the Slytherin crest piece, there are 4 cabinets that we need to just basically interact with. And 3 of them are above the sinks on the left-hand side of the bathroom, and the 4th one is on the right-hand side right in the middle. Once you shoot all of those, then you can get your Slytherin crest piece. Moving on to the Gryffindor crest piece, we go to the left-hand side where those 3 cabinets were. You're going to have to interact with these 3 sinks in order to pop this piece out. You have to do this to progress the level, but you'll also notice the Gryffindor crest piece will spawn behind it, and then a chain will pop up. So we need to use a character that is very strong, such as Hagrid or Viktor Krum, in order to interact with that chain, and then the Gryffindor crest piece will pop out for your collection. Once you're in the area with the bath, once you kind of drop down from the first area, immediately behind you, you should see a little cabinet that has a lock on it. Use Reducto on that lock, and you'll be able to get your next character. It will spawn right here where I picked up that blue Lego piece. So I previously collected it, but it's right there. For the Ravenclaw crest piece, you need to use a character that can interact with the book cabinets, such as Hermione. So just interact with that and then input the code in the order that it tells you to. And once you do that, you're going to get your Ravenclaw crest piece and our final collectible of the 4th mission in year 4. All right, so moving on to the Black Lake, which is the 5th level in year 4. This is a really fun mission. It's going to take place underwater just like the movie. It's really cool. But essentially when this starts, there's 9 clams that we have to interact with. And I'm going to start from the very beginning of the level, and you can shoot these with any spell. So the first one is right below you, right when you spawn. And I'm going to show you all of these, but keep in mind I have cleaned out this portion of the level to show you. The second one is kind of on the leg of that platform, kind of off in the distance. And then you're going to go into these portals to kind of come into the foreground of the level. And then when you come up, immediately go left, and you're going to find the third clam kind of up on the chain that's kind of going up in your screen. So go ahead and shoot that. And then once we have that, we're going to go ahead and go to our right a little bit, just past those those initial kind of tunnels. Before you kind of drop down this ledge here, you can see the 4th clam in the foreground of the rocks in the algae there. So now once you go down and you kind of go to the right to the next set of tunnels, go ahead and go into that to go into the background, and you'll find your 5th clam right here at the bottom of this chain. And then we're going to go to the left. You're going to have to swim underneath this rock formation all the way to where the skeleton is with the rowboat. We'll come back to that later, but you'll find your 6th clam at the foot of that structure. So now we're going to head back to the right, and now we're going to go back past the second the second set of tunnels, all the way to the right hand side to the 3rd set, and all the way in the background behind the tunnel that's in the background is the 7th clam. So now go ahead and go into that tunnel and come back into the foreground, and we're going to head to the left a little bit over this rock. And this one's a little bit tricky to find, but just to the left of the 3rd set of tunnels in the foreground, you'll see this clam all the way towards the forefront of the screen. So that's our 8th one. So our 9th and final one is in near the end of this first section. Once you pass the 3rd set of tunnels and you go down and you head to this area where you got fix the fish, the 9th and final clam will be right here on this platform. So grab that to get our Ravenclaw crest piece. So we're going to head back to the beginning of the level for kind of ease sake and kind of, so you know where you're at. But from the beginning of the level, you're going to head to the right. We're going to go inside our first set of tunnels, which will bring you to the foreground. When it does that, head all the way to the left-hand side, and you'll find a skeleton with a chest. Just shoot that skeleton, and out will pop your first character of the level. All right, so from that character, there is 3 rocks that we have to interact with to get the Gryffindor crest piece, and I'll split this up because the first 2 are in the first area and the last one is in the last area. And just to the right of where we were, you're gonna find this big rock, and you can use Wingardium Leviosa to pull these worms out, which will call these, sea creatures to come eat those worms. And if you shoot them, they'll kind of blow up balloon-like and make the rock float up. So there's 3 rocks that we need to do, and there's 6 sea creatures that we need to interact with in order to get the Gryffindor crest piece. The first one being right there, the one that I showed you, and the second one is all the way to the right hand side past the 3rd set of tunnels down at the bottom of the ocean. Again, use Wingardium Leviosa on the worms to call the sea creatures in to eat them, and then shoot those sea creatures in order to get it. Now for the student in Peril, we're going to head left a little bit. We're going to go to the 2nd set of tunnels in this first area, and we're going to go head into the background. And once we're in the background, we're going to go swimming to the left where you saw that skeleton and the oars and the rowboat. You need to use Wingardium Leviosa on the rows in order to give it to the skeleton, and then use Wingardium Leviosa on the skeleton itself, and he'll row out of the way, and you'll save your student in Peril. Alright, so once you progress on to the second portion of the level, immediately when you come into the second area, swim straight down, and in the foreground you should see a chest and some algae. Shoot that with a magic spell and you'll get your next character. Right beside that, in the central portion of the bottom of this area, you'll see another chest that you can interact with dark magic. Once you use dark magic on that, you can then use Wingardium Leviosa on the skeleton that spawns afterwards, and he'll rip out these boulders and you can get your Slytherin crest piece. Alright, progressing on just a little bit, eventually you'll see a squid that comes out and kind of inks this area and makes it hard to see. And basically what you have to do is use your Lumis Solum spell and just have that active. And if you just swim in all the tunnels, that ink will dissipate. So what you're seeing me is just kind of swim in all 4 directions, and that's going to make the ink disappear. And once you make it disappear from all of the tunnels, the Hufflepuff crest piece will spawn where the squid was. right, so moving on to the third and final area. In the background, you can see a chest on the left-hand side. It's hard to miss. Just shoot that with a spell, and you'll get your next character. And then for our final portion of the Gryffindor crest piece, you're going to have to interact with these, anchors in order to have the chains go up. You have to do this to progress the level, but when you do, you should see a worm spawn where that anchor was. There's going to be one on the right, and you just need to, use Wingardium Leviosa, and you're going to put that worm into this rock to cause those sea creatures again to come and eat them. So on the left and the right where the anchors were, there'll be a worm for you to use Wingardium Leviosa, and as always, once they come and start eating them, then you can shoot them and blow them up and make that rock float up into the air in order to get the final, rock done and our final collectible in this level, the Gryffindor crest piece. So moving on to the final level in year 4, which is the Dark Lord returns. As always, be sure you're bringing a character that has dark magic so we can get our dark magic collectibles. So the first thing that we're going to work on is the character Cedric, and this is going to be broken up into several parts because throughout this level there are 8 plants that you need to hit in order to get this character. The first one is in the very first section that you spawn with, where you have to interact with this knight in order to progress to the second area. So that was in the bottom right. In the second area where the pixies are, you can find the second plant on the north kind of right side. And then the third part where you have to interact with this devil snare to progress, you're going to find 2 more, one on the top left and one on the top right. So that's our first 4 plants, and that's all the collectibles that we need to do in the first area. When you get to the maze section right here, immediately when you spawn in this area, to the left is a wall that you can use dark magic on. Use dark magic on that and then progress down that kind of pathway, and you'll find a dig spot. So you get an animal like Crookshanks, or if you have Fang in your crew, use that to dig up this dig spot and get your Ravenclaw crest piece. Now, moving on from that dig spot to get our next portion of the plants that we have to interact with in order to get Cedric, the maze task version. So heading back again, this is the first set of kind of walls that are going in and out. As soon as you pass that first wall, right to the left is your 5th yellow plant that you need to shoot. Just south from that plant in a chest that you probably can't see, it's a Bogart chest right down there, so you need to shoot that with Ridiculous. And right here where I grabbed this blue Lego piece is that character collectible. So it's right here inside a Bogart chest that you need to use Ridiculous on. So for the Hufflepuff crest piece, again, this will be split up as well because there's 5 devil snares that we have to interact with Lumus Solum. When you pass that first set of movable walls, the first and second set of the devil snare that we need to interact with are right here. And then when you pass the next set, you'll have a next set of 2 movable walls. The third devil snare will pop out on your right. So that's the first part. We're going to get those first 3, and we'll get the other 2 in the next section of the level. So from that devil snare, we're going to get the next part of our character for Cedric as we kind of progress into the area where you get the key from the pixie. As soon as you get into this area, if you kind of look right here, right on the right is going to be your 6th yellow plant. Also in this same area to the right of the doorway we're supposed to go, you should see a wall that you can use dark magic on. Use dark magic, go through that, and you'll immediately collect your Gryffindor crest piece. In the same area that you get the Gryffindor crest piece is a dig spot, so use a character that can dig, again, such as Crookshanks or Fang or whoever you have, in order to dig up that dig spot and get your next character. So once you kind of go through the doorway into the next section, we're going to get the second part of our Hufflepuff crest piece, which is to interact with the devil snare, which is immediately on your left when you insert this area. Moving on to the last part for our character, the first character in the level. If you go up to that Sphinx up there and go to the left, you'll find a yellow plant that you can shoot. And then if you go to the right past the Sphinx and then down in between these walls, you'll find the 8th and final yellow flower that we can hit for our character. Immediately south from that 8th and final, plant is a student in peril that's trapped by some devil's snare. So you need to shoot that with Lumus Solum, and then you'll free him, and that'll be our last student in peril of year 4. So also for our final portion of the Hufflepuff crest piece, head back up between those 2 walls, and on the right side is our 5th and final devil's snare. So use Lumus Solum on that, and you'll get your Hufflepuff crest piece. So moving on to the final portion of this level, it's kind of the boss fight. In this kind of graveyard area, there's going to be 3 skeletons that you need to interact with Wingardium Leviosa. And if you interact with all of those, you'll get your Slytherin crest piece. So one is on the left hand side in the foreground, the second one is on the right hand side in the foreground, and the third and final skeleton you can see on the right hand side in the background of this area. So use Wingardium Leviosa on all of those skeletons and you'll get your Slytherin crest piece and our final collectible in year 4. So that's going to wrap it up for year 4 story missions. I hope you all found this helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, hopefully I'll see you in the next video.